Hello traders, here is Odd with some analysis of what's going on now and what was going on last week. Just a quick word about what you're seeing here on the chart. We have the volume, we have the bars. The red line is the 200 exponential moving average EMA. The green line is the 50 EMA. We are looking now at the Bitcoin USD on BitMEX, the 4 hours, and we have pivots. So since we are looking at the 4 hours, we have these weekly pivots which are in light blue. We have the R2, the R1. I've decided to make the pivot itself in orange, the weekly, and we have the S1 and further below the S2. On dark blue here we have the monthly pivot. This is the monthly pivot for June, and way above here is the R1 pivot, the resistance, and here is the S1, the support. So look, these are big pivot gaps, and mostly when I see such gaps I don't really expect price to hit them, but this is the crypto market, and in crypto everything is possible, so don't take me up on this word. What happened last week? Last week was a very interesting trade. Price on the weekly went below the weekly pivot, tested it, failed to break above, and went down the whole way here the first time to the S2, the weekly S2, and then even tested the second time, almost the weekly S2. Basically the candles themselves closed at the pivot points. Let me take those away. They closed at the monthly pivot, so I'd say more than anything the monthly pivot and the 200 EMA of the 4 hour is the one being tested. We have this band here which is ascending and functions currently as support, but is it holding? Will it hold? I don't know. What I do see is that there is a bit of, well, the buying seems to be still very active, and still looks like bulls are even willing to buy a little bit higher, at least here. But we have to see how this candle is closing. So the trade is simple. A close above the pivot is a bullish signal, but because here the yellow one is the yearly pivot, I would not go into a trade, long trade, before I see a close above the yearly pivot in yellow, which is at the 80 level. A close above, and we have the R1 and we have the R2 as targets. We could see here a very likely scenario, since the whole market is talking about the head and shoulder structure that is currently building on a longer term. We could see the same thing happening as last week here. Just what price is doing currently, going up, testing the weekly pivot, failing, and then you have your trade to the S1, or maybe to the weekly S1, or even maybe to the weekly S2. Let's have a check on this in terms of the daily chart on Bitstamp. So we have, I think the first target would, for such a move downwards, if indeed this head and shoulder would complete and would play out. The first target would be the 6822, the 0.382 fib, and then the 0.5. The 0.5 correlates very strongly also to the S1, to the monthly S1. So I would say that this would be a pretty amazing trade if indeed it plays out, and it will also play out beautifully and complete the head and shoulders structure. And then we have to see. A word of caution regarding market consensus. We see there seem to be now a very strong consensus regarding correction in Bitcoin price, a consensus regarding this possible pattern of head and shoulders. From my experience, when there is a strong consensus in the market, it is time to exercise to be a bit contrarian, at least a bit. We had a very good example here on the 6,000 level of last year. The current test, the non-stop testing of the 6,000 level, where everyone were talking about on the way up now that the 6,000, 6,500 would be a very good level to put a short, and price just cut through this level like it was butter. So even though there was a consensus, the market did its thing and price action just left shorters behind. So beware here. I still see here on the 4 hours that bears are not, still not really convincing. This we could just see here, just a long consolidation, you know, something like, let me take this away, something like this, continuing, maybe even on a longer, bigger price range, ranging, base building till the next move up, and this might be it. But I'm still biased for a correction, a big correction. I tend to agree with the consensus of the market, even though I'm exercising here extra caution. I still think there is a place to go down, and we'll see what is happening this week. I think it's safe to say that if we will see a red candle here on the pivot going down, and if we will see this level breaking here, this current support breaking, then most likely we will see price going to the mentioned levels. I think it's there's a good chance to see the 6,200, but we have pit stops on the way at the 7,130, the 6,600, and we will see how strong the bulls are, how strong the bears are, and how strong the hands are. So till the end of the week, I think by the end of the week I will post another analysis, and maybe even move to some other indicators that I use. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Please subscribe, thumb up, whatever you want to do, or do nothing. Thank you guys for watching. Till next month.